What is going on? Run Pure Sports. It's Mangone. We're here with Big T, and this isn't right. We got to fix this. There we go. Big T's always on the bottom, so we got to set it up right. I'm hosting. Got Big T here on the bottom. We're talking MLB today. You guys are privileged with little Big T action, and we got SaberSim up, and we're breaking down the slate that starts a little bit earlier, 6:35 Eastern, 13-game slate. Big T, how are you doing here on this Tuesday?
Good. I feel good to be on bottom bunk. I always like bottom bunk better than top bunk, so that's a good adjustment for you there. But haven't been on a baseball show in a minute. Luckily, we got some good spots tonight. Big slate too. What is it? 10 games? 12 games? 12 games? A bunch of games tonight. Good slate. We got a few. I always like it when you see like the Dodgers right away. As you can see, we got Saber on the screen, but Dodgers in a tough park, Atlanta in an easy park, Boston in a tough park. I always like slates where you have some of the bigger offenses, like even the Yankees are in a somewhat tough spot, even though last night they went off there against, I think, Woo. But there's not a ton of spots tonight, like offensively. So I like slates like that. It gives us a clear direction to target, and I think we'll find some winners here tonight.
Yeah, we'll definitely find some winners. We got Showdown tomorrow night, which I can't wait for. I realized I looked back on last year, and I won a lot of the shitty showdowns with all the bad teams. So bring them on. I'm excited for Patriots. Jets.
In some ways, it's easier because the scoring's usually a little lighter. Like when you have those games where just everyone does good and stuff, it makes it harder to hit that combo. When you don't have as much scoring, if you hit it, you hit it. And you've been hitting these first touchdown props. You hit at least 2 or 3 of the last 4 games. So like you've been dialing it in there.
I think we've done 3, and I'm 2 for 3. I think it's been
Like that's something I might be interested in. 2 out of 3 first touchdown props.
Yeah, and the first touchdowns, they weren't like 2-1. They were 10-1. So I'm up on the season. You're gonna have to. If I lose for the next couple of weeks, I'll still be up nice and clean. So we'll keep bringing those along.
About them. You get paid nice with those things.
Oh yeah, it was definitely nice because I definitely didn't do amazing on that slate when it came to the other props that I had, which we get out some props on the show too. We'll be betting them live with you guys. So if you guys want to get in on some of these props I'm going to give out, get in there. Get logged into DK. This is going to be a DraftKings show because hashtag DK partner over here at Run Pure Sports. But let's dive into that first game, Big T. Baltimore and San Francisco. San Francisco's been bad. Like overall, like they just haven't. I mean, they popped on the other night, but just in general, like they're not a good baseball team right now. They're kind of a team that's quit a little bit. I know you sometimes like to play San Francisco, at least maybe a couple of years ago. I don't know how much you've really played them this year, but it's Dean Kramer and Hayden Birdsong on the mound. And I know Baltimore's floundered a little bit here. I know Birdsong's on the mound. You could argue that, hey, Baltimore has some good bats. They have a decent team total according to SaberSim. It's at like 4.6. On a big slate, I don't see myself getting super excited about playing this ballpark, Big T, but maybe you got a different opinion here.
Yeah, you just said a huge slate. And I wonder why DK, after the whole year, decided to finally give us these earlier games. Like most of the year, they kept giving us the 7 and eliminating these, like 6 games or so early. It makes it so much nicer because you get more options. You don't have to force stuff. And games like this where the wind's blowing in a little bit, it's not super cold. It's not super warm. I mean, not cold. I got backed up when I was looking at the actual weather, but it's just not a spot I'm going to love. Yeah, you can definitely go to Baltimore and the Giants side. I mean, I definitely don't see it, but this park has gotten worse since they changed the dimensions of it a couple years ago, 2 years ago, I think. And it's just not a park I like to target all that much. These pitchers aren't great. But I don't know. Like it's the type of spot where I'll leave some Baltimore guys in there just to let Saber do its thing. But I'm going to go in even right now and get rid of – this is what I like to do in Saber. That's why I pulled it up. Like I'm not going to play these guys. So in baseball with 12 games, I'm just going to get rid of some spots. The Giants are definitely one of them. And Baltimore, I'm just going to leave them in there. And kind of as we go, if we like some guys, maybe we'll bump them and just see what Saber gives us at the end. But, I mean, Baltimore, does anyone like – even James McCann is 3,100? Oh, my God. James McCann's always the guy I like to play because he's like 2K. 3,100. Manuel, I just don't see a ton. The guys you would want to play are just super expensive, and the spot's not great. So for me, not loving it.
All right, yeah, not loving it. Also, I agree. We'll give out one bet on this one, Big T. So pull out your phone or however you bet. We're gonna give a bet out for the people. If you guys want it, you could jump in on it. It's a different prop. It's not a pitching prop. So if you're on DraftKings, you got to go to the game that we're on. We're on San Francisco and Baltimore. Hit the batter options. Go all the way to the bottom.
Let me get my phone out.
Yep. I got to make sure we can at least get ahead of it, Big T. You guys can go right and tail right behind us, but we got to be ready. So go to walks and go to Cedric Mullins. We're betting his under on walks. So there you go. Under on Cedric Mullins walks. That's going to be.
Those are like the sweats too when you get in there. Every time they come up, it's like swing the bat.
Yep. They're fun. They're fun sweats. So you want them to just swing the bat. You want them to get on there. And I mean, Birdsong's not like a bad pitcher, right? He's going to pitch to the zone. It'll be a solid one. So it looks like a good bet. We're going to bet that one. So if you guys want to tail us, we'll do that. And we'll get on over to the next game because we got a lot of games to discuss, right? We got Dodgers and Miami next. And I hate this ballpark. I know you agree. You don't like this ballpark, but it's September, right? Like this is the time of year where there's not many great weather spots. And keep in mind with weather, there is going to be some rain in this San Francisco game, light showers, not too worried about that. And then that Washington game will also have weather issues, but clearly a big total here. This is definitely a spot that we want to consider. I'm curious what the Sims are going to say, because I'm assuming this will be a very popular spot, right? Everyone's going to want to play Ohtani. I know he's been absolutely smashing all season long. He is pricey, but with Landon Knack on the mound and Ryan Weathers, who I know we've played a little bit to start the season, are you playing some Dodgers here on this slate, Big T?
So one of the things, I haven't done as much baseball shows this year, but the people that have watched over the years, I just never go to spots like this ever. Whenever it's a big park downgrade, not that Dodger Stadium's like amazing for offense, but the Dodgers are one of those teams that I just target when they go on the road in good parks. I love them in those spots. But here tonight, where they're favored, let's go to team stacks real quick, projected runs. Dodgers, number one on the board at 5.4 runs tonight, according to Sabre. I don't know what the actual number is right now, but point being, number one spot of the night, and it's a bad park against Miami. Ownership, I mean, look at the ownership here. You're talking 20s for Ohtani, 15 range for the rest. I bet some of the other ones sneak into the 20s too with the way the slate sets up. It's freaking baseball. These are the spots I just don't go to. Granted, if you're playing 150, which I'm assuming there's not a lot of people playing 150 this time of year watching this show. If I'm only playing a few teams, like I think I got 3 teams tonight, I'm just not going here. So, like, it's the number one spot. It gives me a chance to be different. One thing I usually do, though, is I'm not going to pull them all out of there, but I am going to pull out all these guys. I'll leave the 3 big boppers in there just in case they somehow hit as a one-off or something. But I am not going to go there. You can kind of see a difference in projection here. Sabre, RPS 14, 18. So we're high on Landon Knack, actually. So I'll portray my projection like somewhere in there. I'm a little lower on him, though. I don't necessarily need to go there. I should have shown that about the Baltimore game, too, because I do like – going back to Baltimore just real quick, I do like Kramer, and Sabres at 17, RPS 16. I had this in there. I want to go higher, actually, on Kramer. I feel really good about that price point, and San Francisco strikes out a decent amount. So what I do is I'm going to take him up to 20, actually. He's going to hit a ton of my bills because of the price. He's just so cheap, and the matchup's good. But like I said, I'm playing 3 teams tonight, and I can live with Kramer. I'd be even fine with him on all 3 more than likely, depending on how it sets up. So I want to go there. In the chat, Brian McIntyre says leave Edman. It's not what I do. I get it. If people want to play Dodgers like Edman, who's been hitting good, I actually like Edman a lot as far as a hitter. I was excited when the Dodgers got him. He's usually cheap. What is his price tonight? He is 4K. I'm just not doing it. I get why people would, though. I totally get it. That's just not my style with baseball. I like to go different spots. I don't want more than one Dodger in my lineup. If I end up with Ohtani or Mookie or something, I'm okay with it, but I have a feeling once we bump guys as we go, that it's not going to come to that.
All right, Big T. I've one bet in this game. It's not my favorite, so I'll put a little less on this one.
Don't be getting in there with negativity. We got winners coming.
Well, I do like the plus juice, so we get plus 125. Ryan Weathers, the pitcher.
We're talking.
It's the over on runs, so 2.5 runs. So we just need 3 runs from the old Dodgers there. That's it, and we get plus money. I think they can pull it off. It's 2.5 runs, earned runs over for Ryan Weathers. I know you don't love it, but it's plus money, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I don't like that one.
Well, I'm in on it. You don't have to bet that one. You can pass that
I'm in with you. I'm riding with you, and it'll be a little bit of a hedge since I'm fading them on my teams. It'll give me just a slight hedge. Like if they go off, I like the plus. If it wasn't plus number, I wouldn't do it, but I like the plus. But I will say that bet makes me like not playing the Dodgers as much as DFS just because it's plus. Like it tells me that they don't think that the Dodgers are going to go crazy. Although I'm sure he's not going to go deep, blah, 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 but I like it.
Yeah, the last start he didn't go deep, but the one before he did go deep and he gave up 4 runs in 6 innings. So, hopefully we can replicate that. That was, I think, against the Guardians. So, next game up, it's not a high total. It's Houston and the San Diego Padres, which this is kind of like a playoff game, right? Both teams are definitely still grinding for that. You got Valdez versus Cease. Big T, it's not really a game that I'm looking to play too much of. Curious your thoughts here on this one.
Yeah, you got a 12-game slate. You got two good pitchers, 2 playoff teams, a park that I don't like to target ever. It's a weird start time, too, 3:40 on the West Coast. I just don't see it. There's no way I'm playing bats in this game. If you end up with a pitcher, let me get rid of a few of these guys as we go. Because like I said, we'll run this at the end of the show, too, and kind of see how I get to my teams. But I like both pitchers. There's just no way. I'm never playing hitters against Framber. He's just that type of pitcher. Even if I don't look at Elias Diaz, I didn't even know he played for freaking San Diego. So when you're looking at the projections, we're at 18 and 18. I always like Framber a little more. So Dylan, what do you think of Cease? Like I know Houston doesn't strike out a ton, but I don't hate the play.
Houston doesn't strike out a ton. Dylan Cease is a very
tough matchups.
Yeah, they're tough matchups for sure. If you look at the ownership too, let's pull up the ownership on my end so I can see it. Ownership is 11%. At least he's low owned. That's kind of nice. The problem is both these teams don't strike out that much. I'm not super excited about it. It doesn't take a lot to get overweight. I like the idea of raising the numbers and seeing what happens. Let's do that. Let's raise the projections a little bit just because they're talented pitchers and see. Yeah. But my biggest worry is if they get 5 innings in and they get in a jam, they're going to those bullpens, right? Especially San Diego. I know they have a pretty good bullpen. So that's kind of one of the things that I would worry a little bit about. Any other thoughts? I'm going to look at the bets real quick. Give me 1 second.
Yeah, what these pitchers do, like I said, I like Kramer. He's so expensive on the slate. But just for now, if you ever end up with these guys, they're both low owned because it is a tough matchup. Both these teams, tough matchups, but they're also good pitchers. So as we get into the playoffs, next week's the end of the regular season. Playoffs is when pitchers start to dial it in and really make moves. So I think you can take chances more on these spots late in the season. Although the flip side to that too is they might get pulled just resting the arms and stuff. I don't think either one of them is really in jeopardy of, I could be wrong. I shouldn't say this, but I think they're both firmly in the playoff race. Let me look while you're looking up.
No, yeah. One's in the division, one's got the wild card right there, but they still have to stay in front. They still are pushing
So San Diego is only 2.5 games up. So San Diego definitely isn't fully clear, but Houston is solid. I mean,
How far are they ahead of Seattle for
they're
the
5 games and there's only 2 weeks left. So
I mean, I agree, but to be fair, like I think they have one series with Seattle for 3 games, and like,
yeah, I mean, they're don't get me wrong, like they're trying to win. They're trying to finish with a bang here. I'm just saying, like, yeah, well, we're not going to get much of these guys anyways, but just leave them in the pool.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to like raise it. Is just see what happens because we're not going to get a lot of them. I don't think they're going to be priority plays for us. So, and no real bets that I love in this game. I don't want to force stuff. So we're gonna
we got 12 games anyways. We'll find some as we go through there.
Correct. I'm just looking for like the really good ROI ones that I feel super confident in. And let's go to the next game though. Cleveland.
These are the slates I like. That's the good part about being. We got some bad offensive spots in here, and then a couple that I like. So we're gonna narrow it down big time here.
Yep, we got the usual guys in here. We got Beanair hanging out with us. No Giants talk for Beanair yet. We got Nice Kevin, Marquis. Thanks for joining. Of course, the Prez is hanging out with us too, and tons of other you guys. So thanks a lot for joining. Give us your comments if you got anything to say, and hit that like, of course. But yeah, next game up. This is another game. Like, I just don't want to play it. It's Cleveland and it's Minnesota, and it's Bailey Ober and Tanner Bybee. And let me tell you, I've been betting against Bailey Ober, and it hasn't gone well lately. That's not been a fun ride. And I don't know if I love it here. And honestly, I don't love taking Twins bats against Cleveland. I mean, this is like, what is it, an 8 total? This is just not really a game that I want to get to, Tony. It's 7.5 in other spots. I just think this one's a full fade for me. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we're being redundant with this slate, but you got pretty good pitching. You got 2 teams that are playing for the playoffs, 2 solid teams, and you got teams that don't necessarily make it easy on pitchers. I don't like to target Cleveland at all, and Minnesota's grinded more and more this year as the year's gone on. So for me, I don't even like the pitchers, though, is the weird part. I mean, you just look at these guys. I don't like to play pitchers against Cleveland, so Ober's been good, but just don't love it. And then the other way, I mean, you got what? 1, 2. I mean, this Twins lineup is just tough. They got guys. I mean, they're scrubs like Margot and Vasquez at the bottom. Just don't strike out. I mean, they're just tough. They're just tough at bat. So I just don't see it. Like I said, we're going to narrow it down. We're going to try to find winners. This is how I like to do it, especially when I'm playing 3 teams. If I'm playing 150, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna play a little bit more than I am here, but I want to narrow it down and really get locked in here for my 3 teams.
Yeah, and it looks like a rise scratch from the Padres lineup in the chat. Let me just double. I mean, that's definitely not nothing because he never strikes out. I'd be curious who's in there instead.
Like
but,
you said, it won't even matter, and because they're gonna strike out more than he does. That dude never strikes out, and it helps our pitchers. Our 2 guys that we were wanting to bump up a little bit in the projections.
Yeah, I couldn't find the confirmation, but yeah, if you guys see it, post it in there for us. We'd appreciate it. Let's go over to the next game. This is where things get interesting, Big T. This is where it gets fun. Braves and Reds in Great American Small Park. It's definitely an interesting game. We have one team in the Braves they're definitely fighting for the playoffs. It's definitely a big game for them, and it's in a again good spot for hitters. From the pitching perspective, we got Schwellenbach and Junis, and honestly, this is an amazing matchup for someone like Schwellenbach. He's been great for most of the season. He gets a strikeout happy team. And then we have Mr. Junis out there who could just be throwing batting practice. And it's not like the Reds are really playing for much anyways. I know, listen, I've been on the record, no Twins and no Braves all season long. I don't know. This is definitely going to be a tough spot to test me because I don't know what I'm going to do here. I think you have to like the Braves a little bit. Schwellenbach, though, he's definitely the guy that I like even more than the bats here. I think this is just a great spot for Schwellenbach. Ownership looks like it's low on Saber. I mean, I'm seeing 6%, which sounds crazy at 8.4K. So I'm interested in Schwellenbach. I kind of want to up his projection. If you have a different opinion, let me know. But what's your thoughts on this game?
So for me, this is kind of where I use the odds too, though. This is actually one of my favorite spots, and it's not going to necessarily agree with what you say. So by that part might not be good. But like in these spots, everyone's going to love Atlanta because It's freaking Junis versus Schwellenbach, who's been amazing. But yet the money line's only minus 140 towards Atlanta. For one, because Cincinnati's been, I think they beat them the last 2 days. They're playing pretty good baseball. They came back last night. And their lineup kind of matches up good against Schwellenbach, which you got, like, look at the project. Like, we're always higher on him because he's been really good at RPS. But I'm way lower, and I actually like Cincinnati. I mean, this line is crazy to me. Like, I feel like Atlanta should be like minus 200 in this spot. And when I see minus 140 and everyone likes one side, it makes me just love Cincinnati. So let's look at their lineup. Obviously I'm not playing the pitcher, so let's get him out of there. But like the top of this lineup, Ellie obviously has upside. You got a couple. I always hate freaking Stevenson, but he's been decent enough at
catcher
bat.
sucks though, right? It helps like sometimes to have like a good catcher in there. So I don't.
Yeah, definitely. And Saber, you can see that when we run Saber numbers too, because it'll pop him in there more than you realize just because of that. And the number 3 spot in the lineup, he's coming through more. I mean, you look at this lineup, and even more so, you look at it, and then you look at Atlanta. You're gonna like Atlanta's lineup better. I mean, look at this lineup. It just proves my point even more. You got all these big boppers up top. I mean, the top 4 guys are awesome. You got a little weaker at the bottom, but also guys that don't strike out down there. Arcia and Gio don't strike out. Witt doesn't strike out, even though he's not like a power hitter or anything. So you got a lot of guys putting balls in play. I mean, this game's just awesome. So we didn't like any offense so far. At least I didn't. You didn't like a ton. And as we go through, there's not going to be much offense. It's hot in Cincinnati. It's where I live, obviously. I just think this is the game to target. And I like this. I mean, look at these freaking ownerships for Cincinnati. I know Schwellenbach's been good, but you're giving me the best park on this slate, and everybody's 3% owned except Ellie? I mean, that's something I might be interested in, Mr. Travis. That's something I might be interested in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, on these kind of slates, I like lower owned spots and to look for a spot where maybe people won't be. And hey, the game stack's not the worst thing to do. And
everyone's going to play Atlanta too. So the game stack's great, what you just said, because if everyone's on Atlanta and no one's on Cincy, stack that up, and then the ownership for Atlanta doesn't matter.
Ownership wise, we have, so just to like references. I think this is a good way to do it when looking at odds. I know this isn't perfect, but if you look at Atlanta only, right, you got Matt Olson at 18%. Your lowest owned guy is Ramon Laureano at 9%, according to Saber. So for the most part,
I actually like him too. He's one of my favorite dudes on Atlanta, is the funny part.
Now, here's the best part. Ellie, who pretty much always gets ownership, is 8%. Every other play is 4%. So let's just say if we find a middle ground, overall ownership is 18%, or let's say 15% on the Braves. And then on the Reds, it's 5%. That means the Braves should be minus 300, right? Like it's a 3 times difference.
Yeah.
The more we talk about it, I think the Reds are a really good contrarian stack that maybe you could take a chance on. And honestly, I think you could play Schwellenbach at his ownership and the Reds. You could go both ways just because we know the range of outcomes when it comes to the Reds team. It's either boom or bust. And at both ownerships, I think they're both in place. So you have me sold on liking Schwellenbach and the Reds. Of course, not on the same team. If you're MMEing, take some stabs. If you're playing like 2 or 3 teams, no, don't play Schwellenbach on one and the Reds on another. That just doesn't make that much sense there.
It makes me like it even. Our boy Derek Carty, I always trusted his projections too, and he's so low on Schwellenbach too that it makes me like it even more. But I mean, I agree with you. He's got upside. The issue I have with Schwellenbach is just this slate has all pitchers. Like, why do I want to play a pitcher in this freaking park when I have pitchers everywhere? There's no offense anywhere.
Yeah, I
agree with you, though. Like, the dude has upside.
Yeah, I mean, well, as we dive into it a little more, again, he's low owned, so I'm intrigued, but let's keep going through and see, what we kind of got here with some of the other pitching options. And then kind of talk about it at the end, and we'll run the numbers, right? Maybe the numbers will tell us something differently when we kind of finish up here. So next game up, let's go to Boston and the Rays. And man, this is another ballpark I don't love, but we're in September. September, you can play these dome parks a little bit more. I talk about how in July, I don't want to really target this stuff for hitters. We do have Pepiao and Houck on the mound. And man, again, Boston, they've been a team that we've played it from time to time, but a lot more when they're at home. They're on the road here. I think Pepio's got to be a really good option. He's showing it 15%. And then honestly, this Rays team hasn't been great. I know they have bats that can get it done, but if you tell me Tanner Houck is, 2%, that can't be the craziest play on this slate, right? I mean, he doesn't have the worst projection. If you look on Saber, a 14.4 projection at 2% owned. I mean, that's definitely not a bad play. So I think I'm more team pitchers here. What about you, Tony?
Yeah, I know I keep saying the same thing over and over, but you got two pretty good pitchers. You got a terrible park. I just hate taking teams that are priced like they're in look at these prices on these Boston guys. In the 5Ks, 5,800, 5,400, 5,400, terrible park, decent pitching the other way. I just never make a case for it. And I mean, they're not going to be owned, but still, I just don't go to it. It's a 12-game slate. I can find better spots than this. I agree with you about Hawk, though. I mean, he's in a good spot. Tampa Bay doesn't scare me as much. Let me pull their lineup up here. Actually, let me get
Yeah, what is their full lineup? Because I'm looking at a possible bet in this game, and I want to see who's actually in the lineup. Okay, so it's
I mean, it's not a lineup that's going to scare you even remotely. I mean, I do like 2,400. I mean, some of the prices like Aranda 2,400 in the 4-hole. Those are the type of guys I leave in because he's eligible at 2 positions too. Even if I don't love the spot for Tampa, I don't. I think it's a bad spot. Those are the type of guys I just leave in there though, because you never know. Maybe there's a team with a bunch of studs and stud pitchers, and then Saber can randomly pop this dude in there in the 4-hole and it gets you there. So I definitely like Hawk in this game, though, and I honestly don't mind Pepio that much either as far as leaving him in the player pool and seeing what happens.
Yeah, let me look at the because
I kind of like Brandon Lowe, too. I always like Brandon Lowe.
I would keep Lowe in there. And he's second base, right? Second base is terrible, so I don't mind that. It's a 7.5 total. It's not a bad if you're playing single entry 3 max. I love the idea of game stacking both these pitchers up and then just seeing what it does. I mean, they're both decent prices where it doesn't feel like you're breaking the bank paying for them. I think it's intriguing for sure. One of the bets here, and I think based on the lineup, it's not a bad one too. And again, we're just trusting projections here. So the projections say it, so I'm going to go with it. It is, let me pull it up one more time. Go over to DraftKings, Tony. Go to the pitcher props. This is a pitching bet that we're going to go through. And we're getting plus money on it as well. Not a lot, but plus 105. And we're taking Tanner Houck's under on walks. So I don't think, again, we talked about this Rays team. We're not big believers in them, but I don't think they're walking much. I think they're just swinging and missing, or they're either making contact, right? It's one or the other with this team and the way it's set up. And we'll go with the Tanner Houck under on walks, 1.5 walks plus 105. So that's the third or fourth bet of the show that we got here that we're getting in there. And I'll have to tally it up and see at the end of the day how we do and see.
There we go. I like the pitcher ones. The pitcher ones I enjoy more than the hitter ones. I like rooting on the pitcher ones.
The pitcher ones are better sweats. You kind of know when you can sweat them. You can kind of map it out a little bit. If you got to go have dinner, you can be like, oh, this is a perfect time to leave.
I don't enjoy the hitter ones as much. I'll be honest. Every time when they come up and you're sweating, when it's a 3-2 count and you're sweating the walk, it gets you going a little bit, but it also, I don't love it. It feels like every time you get to the 3-ball count too, when you're sweating that walk, I don't love it.
It's not as fun. The interesting one is hits, runs when it's 1.5, because if they get on base, you're all right, we got to get out of this.
You get some sick sweats in baseball for sure. You get those ones where you get a lot of sweat out of your action.
Yeah, they're definitely fun. So I haven't had too many today. So, but all right, let's go to the next.
My favorite one is definitely the outs one, though, that you talked about a bunch, just because you can always pretty much count that it's going to go pretty close. Whether you win or lose, it always falls right in that crack where you get a nice little sweat in the 6th inning every single time. 6 right in there.
It's always a good one.
And you can win it quick. That was another point. You can win it. Even if you're cruising along through 4, all of a sudden you get a little traffic on that base path. It turns in a hurry for people.
That happened for Pivetta. He was like 4 innings in the other day. He was at 59 pitches, and then all of a sudden the Rays started bombs away against them. It was
all of a sudden his elbow started hurting, and
yeah,
things started to unravel in a hurry.
for sure. Next game up is Mets and Nationals, and the Grimace Magic is at it. They're 2-0 since they inserted the Grimace seat. So Mets have been, I mean, they're playing good ball, and they've got the best record since I think like May 29th. It's just been insane what they've been doing, and they're going against the Nationals. We know the Nationals bullpen is not very good. This is definitely a time of year to attack bullpens, right? So, I mean, that's one little factor that we have going into this game. I doubt I'm playing many Nationals because the Mets pitchers have been unbelievable. Quintana hasn't been unbelievable, I'll say that. DJ Hertz has a decent projection at 15 on Sabre, which I don't necessarily agree with. And if I look at the ownership on the Mets, I'm getting all these Mets. Pete Alonso, 3%. I mean, Starling Marte, 3%. Nemo, like all these guys, they're not going to be owned on this slate. So this is a spot where maybe I'm biased, maybe I'm a homer, but I get the best team in baseball for the entire summer at like single digits against DJ Hertz. And I know Hertz has had some good spots, but I don't know. I don't think it's a bad spot. Now, the weather is a concern, right? There's going to be some rain. That's one thing to worry about. I'm sure it's a little bit colder. It's 70 degrees, so it's not that cold, and it's cold in most spots. But I don't know. I think the Mets are a good low-owned play here, Tony. What about you?
Yeah, I think so too. And one of the factors is, first of all, I don't love this park, but again, we just don't like offense on this slate. The weather's getting colder, like you talked about. I'm not saying it's freaking freezing out there, but as it gets later in the night, it gets a little colder. The ball's not traveling like it was in the middle of the summer. And you just got to pick some spots on this slate. And we got a lot of righties in this lineup. Let me pull up the Mets lineup. We got a lot of righties. I mean, Pete, Marte, Nemo's a lefty, but he hits lefties okay. Iglesias. Yeah. I mean, this lineup is real. Bader, I've always liked against lefties. Huh?
You got Vientos, who hits bombs. Alvarez at catcher, who's cheap, who hit a bomb yesterday. Like,
to me, this is like a perfect min stack team, and I'm with you. Like, I'm not going to play Quintana on this slate. I like these guys though, and honestly, I could full stack them even because they got a lot of my lefty masher types. They got
Mr. Acuna too, Tony. He's 2,900. He hit his first home run. I don't know how good he's going to be, but he's Ronald Acuna's brother. Like he's been.
It is his brother
since he's been up. Yeah, it's his brother. He's been good so far. Like again, he's still in the 9 hole. It's not like he's like hitting bombs every day. He hit his first career home run, but he's been fun to watch and he's fast. So
I was curious what so hers has faced them a couple times, 37 at bats. Lindor's got a bomb off him, Bader's got a bomb off him. They're hitting 300 off him. I mean, they've had decent success against him too. So like you said, we always like the wraparound stacks. You got Bader down there, Acuna down there. Guys up top you can play. I definitely like the Mets with you. I'm on board.
All right, Mets it is. So no Nationals for me.
I'm clearing them out of there.
And sure. I don't love Quintana for what it's worth too. Are you playing him as like I
got him out of there too. I don't need him. Like I said, when we got Kramer, again, I'm only playing 3 teams, but Kramer's 6,200, and I'm planning on playing him at minimum 2 teams, probably 3. And that means I only need a few other pitchers in my player pool, really. So I'm not forcing it. And we're going to get to one more guy that I like a decent amount as we go through here.
All right. Next one up, we got Tigers and Royals. And I will say we talked about some cold games. This is a little bit of a hotter game. It's in Kansas City. It is only a 7.5 run total, keep in mind. It's because Skubal's on the mound, and it's Alec Marsh. And man, I think this is a spot I just like the pitching. I know we've talked about that a lot, but Skubal at 10-6, people might be scared to take a chance on him, but I'm kind of okay with it. I know I talked about some other pitchers I liked a little bit earlier, but I'm okay with attacking this Royals team with Skubal at 10.6K. So I think he's definitely going to be a play that we want to consider here on this slate. Alec Marsh is a tough one. The Tigers have been playing really good baseball. I actually looked it up. I looked it up the other day. I wanted to see how many games they've like won, or how many they lost in the last 24 games. I think they've only lost 7 or 8 games. So like they are an absolute heater. They're like 17-7. They've just absolutely been crushing. I'm not dying to play Alec Marsh, I'll say that, but I'm also not dying to play the Tigers. Maybe you have a different opinion on this, Tony. This is not a game that I have like any strong conviction on. So I'll leave it to you to make the adjustments here on Saber.
Yeah, you got an 8 total. You got really good pitchers. I've tried to pick on Scooball a few times this year just because of ownership, and it has not worked out well. The man's a beast. We love him. I know Boynton was on him last year, loving him. I mean, you got to, and Marsh has been quietly pretty good too. So I'm totally with you in this spot. I like to look at some of the prices. I mean, I'm definitely not spending up in a game like this. The Tigers do have a somewhat decent total, so I'm going to leave some of the cheaper pieces in there just to see if they hit on some stuff. Like our boy Uncle T down here in the 9-hole, 3,100 at catcher, leave him in there. But believe me, I'm with you. Like, I'm more pitchers in this spot, and I'm not going to play Marsh, though, either. Even though I think he's been decent, Detroit's good. I mean, Detroit has been playing good baseball. I do have some interest now. It's stuck out to me, right? Man, so these guys, they got a few. Wow. I wasn't expecting to say this as I was saying I was going to pick on Scooball, but this team has all my lefty mashers that I used to like. Pham, Gurriel, Renfroe, DeJong.
Yeah,
man, whoo! I wasn't expecting to see that. It kind of caught me off guard. Sal's always hit lefties, and actually for a bet, I'm gonna say a bet. I like the Royals plus 120 right now. Just because Marsh has been playing, I wasn't expecting it, but I like the matchup. I think it's a good matchup. And the line again, you got the best pitcher in the American League. Only minus 135 against Alec Marsh and the Royals. Tigers have been playing great. I like the Reds and the Royals as far as just bets. I like those prices. Renfroe is my favorite. So the dude in the chat says he's a beast. As far as a one-off on this slate, actually, I'm going to bump him so I don't forget. I'm going to bump Renfroe up. As a total one-off, these are like the plays that I like. Tommy Pham in the one-hole. I like the Royals. It's a hot take. I like the Royals tonight. Give me my AP gif where he's running around the thing with the mascot logo. I like the Royals a little bit. I'm not going to go crazy DFS because it's still Scooball.
Yeah.
But mini stack and like one-offs, and I want to clear out some of these dudes though too. Like that's my problem. I like this lineup a lot.
Well, you don't have to play you don't have to play Garrett Hampson, right? There's enough value where
the only reason I'm leaving him in though is just because he's literally 2,100. Like if Saber somehow just he's definitely my least favorite by a mile. I don't want him, but he's 21. I don't think I'm really ever taking a 2,100 guy out of my player pool. Like it is like Yuli Gurriel is 2,200 at first. I think the Royals are nice fillers. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean it's not the craziest thing. Oh, it's baseball, right? Anything can happen. For me,
and I'm sure I'll get owned because friggin' the dude is really good. Scooball is really good at baseball. I wonder what's his out prop? What's his my favorite here? This could be a decent way to attack.
I ran all the props. I didn't see anything I loved.
17.5 plus 130.
Yeah, I don't know. It's not popping up as a play. So, but
popping up as a play for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to, big brain it yourself, you certainly can. I don't see myself doing it, and I didn't see anything I really loved betting wise in this game. So, gonna stay away from
on that. Scooball under 17.5.
There you go. I mean, I'm rooting for you. I don't have
the love that bet too. Like I feel really good about that bet.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say too about this game that I think is super, like, it's definitely something that matters is both these teams, like they're fighting for playoffs. They're using their bullpens, right? They're using their best guys. Like these guys are a game and a half from each other. If the Tigers sweep the Royals, they'll be ahead of them, right? It's a very big series for sure. So you'll see them using
in the chat. Sal Perez 4 home runs versus Scooball. Man, all the box are getting checked here for me with the Royals.
On the flip side, too, another thing you might see, which I want to just check this from last night's game because I didn't stay up to see the whole game. I went to bed early. It was shocking. I don't ever go to bed early, Tony, but I went to bed super early last night. Like the Yankees and Mariners, like for instance, if the Royals got up, if the Royals or Tigers got up like 7-0 and like they quit on the game, they're gonna put the bad guys in there because they don't want to use their good guys because they need to save them for the other series, which feel like the Mariners did that a little bit last night. They had a position guy pitching in the 7th inning when it was like 10-2 or whatever. But you never know. So all right, let's let's keep moving along. Let's go over to the next game. We'll go to Phillies and Brewers next, which, I mean, Phillies and Brewers is definitely a spot where we got two teams that can hit the ball pretty well. I know Philly hasn't been like as great the last 3 weeks or so. They dealt with those injuries with Harper and Turner. It just hasn't felt like they've been, completely themselves. They're going up here against Freddie Peralta, who clearly is going to be chalky. So is Aaron Nola. I don't hate the idea of playing these pitchers, but I do feel like they're a little over-owned for the matchups. Like Peralta against the Phillies at 20% isn't that exciting to me. Aaron Nola at 9.1K against the Brewers at like 15% owned. I'm not that excited about that either. I think the Brewers, I talk about it pretty much whenever they're in a spot where they're going to be unowned and you can get some leverage. I don't hate it. And Nola struggled lately. I mean, Tony, I think give me the Brewers here a little bit. Maybe you have a different opinion on this game. And we talked about some pitchers we liked earlier. I'm not saying I'm loading the boat on Phillies and Brewers, but I think the Brewers are a team that you should get overweight on here.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I wanted to look at the out prop for Nola too, because so he's the same thing. Like, I just love these props. You got me hooked on them. Nola under 17.5 is plus 135. And I like that one too. And I like the Brewers. I like your point where Nola's like known as a big time pitcher. He struggled a little bit. You got the Brewers favorite here at home. The worrisome part for me is both these teams are playoff teams, really, really good team, really good pitchers. I love the Brewers in this spot. I think Peralta pitches good. The Brewers scare me this time of year because they're just a solid team that no one wants to play. They always have good pitching. I like the Phillies too, but I think this is a tough matchup for the Phillies. So I'm actually going to get, and their pricing is brutal to me. All these guys are really, really expensive. I can't see it with Philly. I'm actually clearing them out of there. And I like Milwaukee. I'm putting Milwaukee in that Kansas City bucket where we don't have a lineup yet. At least I don't think. We didn't have one a second ago. And I like this lineup a lot. Once we get it, I could see myself playing a decent amount of Milwaukee tonight. Mini stack or full stack. I'm not going to play Peralta probably. I'm going to leave him in my player pool right now, but I'm not going to go crazy with him. I am going to bet another prop though as we go here, under 17.5 outs for Mr. Nola.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know if there's I'll look when I get off the show. For some reason, the outs ones aren't popping up. There could be an error, but I'll have to see.
They're popping up for me with winners. You've given me tons of prop winners. I'm giving you a couple today. Those two are tasty.
I'm in on that one. One more that I do want to do that I think is good, Tony. Go to the batters props. I like this one. This is one that definitely pops up and looks good. And it pops up a lot typically. It is, and let me just double check to make sure I didn't put an error here. It is the over on walks for Mr. Bryce Harper. And it's against Freddie Peralta, who has a walk problem. I could see him pitch around him at times. So, yeah, we'll go with that. We're going with Bryce Harper's over on walks. So that'll be one that we put in there.
Let me see. I can't find it.
You got to go to batters and go all the way down to walks.
There she is, all the way at the bottom.
Plus 135. It's one that pops up a lot for me, and it's a good spot. So we know Peralta can have his walk problems, and hey, you never know. They could easily just pitch around him with it being just a good lineup. So
I love that bet. I don't like hitter bets as much, but I love that bet. I think we got the plus juice ones are the ones that get me. Like when you can go 3-3 on a night and make money, sign me up for that. Like just sign me up for it.
Yeah. Actually, that is a good point. I forgot about this. We are at this time of year. Thank you for the reminder. Nice, Kevin. The Brewers did just clinch. Their lineup could be ugly. That's why it's not. I don't think it's out. Tony.
Yeah, I mean, we need to wait. You always need to wait and see a lineup for sure.
Yeah, and keep in mind, like they just clinched. I don't know what they're going to put out there. If they put out a really ugly lineup, that'll definitely change our opinion.
Still, though, like the line is telling you that it's a D. I mean, the Brewers are still favored. Like I think people are overthinking it. They still are gonna. I don't worry about that as much. Wait and see the lineup, but I don't see it. There's still 10 days left.
All right, next one up: Pirates and
I'm curious though, so like before you go to the next one, so the Milwaukee is 4 games behind Philly for the 1 seed. 2 games behind the Dodgers. So, I mean, I don't see why they're going to play. I don't know. I don't necessarily
Yeah, they're
agree.
still fighting for the bye. There's that bye now, right?
If they put out just like a total garbage lineup, that'll change. I just don't see it. I don't think so.
I was gonna say though, I didn't see them on, like, typically you just see it on Twitter, right? And I'm sure we could just look it up. You could typically see these guys like celebrating, and everything. I didn't see much of that, but
And they've been in the playoffs. I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, they need to win. Maybe it was a miss. Yeah, whatever. Anyways, let's keep moving along. I'm not worried about the Dodgers. I mean, not the Dodgers, the Brewers. I'm still gonna like them. I still think Noel's worth attacking. I think he's overowned, and I think they're underowned. So it's very simple.
Yep.
All right, let's keep moving along. This next game is not a game that I'm probably gonna love. It's Pirates and it's Cardinals. The Cardinals do have a decent implied total, but I typically hate playing the Cardinals. They're not a team that I play that much. It's Sonny Gray versus Jake Woodford. It's a Jake Woodford revenge game. I get it. It's Jake Woodford. He's bad. Do we play the Cardinals, Tony? I have not played them in so long. Even last year, I didn't play them much. I haven't played them that much this year. Their ownership, it's not going to be too egregious. It looks like Mason Wynn is the highest owned guy, around 11%. Him and Donovan. The rest of them are all around 8% owned. And then if you look at the Pirates, I don't want to play the Pirates against Sonny Gray. Attacking Sonny Gray seems like a bad idea. If anything, I want to play some Sonny Gray. I don't think he's a bad option here to consider. Decent projection, 23% owned. I talked about not liking some pitchers that have ownership. I'm okay with playing Sonny Gray. The Pirates are just so bad. They strike out a ton. They don't really eat up pitchers' counts. You can get a long game from someone like Sonny Gray. So I'm interested in him. How are you handling this game?
This is the other pitcher I was talking about. Sonny Gray, again, that Pittsburgh team is so bad. And you got a good ballpark. The weather, like you said, St. Louis is still a little hotter, but it's still in the 70s. It's not like it's 90s, 100s. I mean, this lineup Pittsburgh's going to put out is so terrible. Sonny Gray is the top pitcher for me. Well, price considering, maybe I don't like him as much, but I mean, he's going to be my top projected pitcher tonight. No doubt about it. The Cardinals, what's the deal with the Cardinals playoff race? What are they dead?
They're so bad.
They're dead. Yeah, they're dead. I wasn't sure if they were totally dead or not.
They're just playing baseball.
Yeah, well, which is fine. In a way, that helps a little bit. So I like Sonny Gray, and I love Mason Wynn tonight. Some of the one-offs that I love to play are like this: 3,500 at a shortstop position in the one hole versus a bad pitcher. Just a one-off play. I like to bump his projection in SaberSim, and I like almost hope that he hits as a one-off. I like Ellie a lot, so I don't know how much at shortstop I'll get, but that's kind of the direction I like to go.
All right. Let's move on to the next game up. We got Rangers and Toronto. This one starts, and then we'll have the Island game, but definitely a game that we have to consider the bats. And I know it's not the greatest hitting spot, right? Typically in Texas, but again, we're at that time of year where, hey, we can play guys in this park. You got you got Bradford on the mound and Francis, and Francis pitched a little bit better. Texas,
is this dude that freaking almost threw a no-hitter like 9 straight games, it felt like, and we kept taking the under on his props.
Yeah, Francis.
This guy owns me.
He almost pitched a no. It was funny. He pitched a no hitter. It was on Bad Beats the other day with SVP. He pitched a no hitter basically until like the eighth or so, and then of course the over hit. It was 1-0, and then the over hit on 7.5 because the Mets.
I want to take it again tonight too. I'm coming back for you, Francis. I want another piece of you. The under 17.5 outs, Francis.
Yeah. So it's in the 8 total. I think it's worth considering. I mean, like playing bats in this game. Like I think Toronto's an interesting team against Bradford. I'm not that worried about someone like Bradford. They got all those righties in that lineup. Like if you look at this Blue Jays team, which let me pull it up here. Let me find the right tab. Springer, Bichette, Guerrero, Kirk, Horowitz, Clement, Schneider, Loperfido, and Jimenez.
Snyder, can we bank on Snyder?
Yeah, Snyder was great to start the year, and he's been playing better as of late. So maybe Snyder's going to close the year for us strong. I think the Blue Jays are a good stack. I'm going to play the Blue Jays. I think they're in play today. Again, we talked about there's not a lot of amazing hitting spots on the slate. Sure, there's some good ones, but I want some spots that are going to be a little bit lower owned. I want to take some chances on them. All the guys in this game are going to be single digits. I don't love Texas, but I think this Blue Jays team, they're worth taking stabs on. So they're going to be a team that I get a little overweight on, Tony. What about you?
Yep, I agree. And last night we saw Texas explode a little bit. I like both these spots. I like Texas more than Toronto tonight, just with the lineup. Their season's been a big letdown, but they've hit the ball a little better lately. I like this game though. Like you said, we don't have that many teams that we've liked on this slate. I mean, a 12-game slate, I think we've liked like 5 or 6 teams top. So I think you can go to this game. It's probably more of a mini stack for me than a full stack, just because I don't love the park and the pitching is decent enough. But I'm with you. Like, there's just not a ton on this slate. I'm leaving all these guys in my player pool. I'm taking the pitchers out. I am betting the under on that prop. I said we need to recap all our props at the end, just so that people can if they haven't seen the whole show, they can be with us. But that's where I'm at. I'm with you in this one.
Yeah, I don't have many props in this game. I definitely have to rerun it when I get off the show, but I don't know why. It's not as many today as normal, but that's okay. We got enough between mine and yours. We definitely have enough for the people. So let's go to Yankees and Seattle, and then we'll run SaberSim. We'll talk about our favorite stuff, and then we'll get on out of here. Again, 6:35 lock. But we saw yesterday the Yankees absolutely nuked in this stadium. I mean, absolutely nuked. They put up 11 runs. I think you gotta at least consider the Yankees on almost any slate. Will they be low owned after they nuked? Let's check. The Saber ownership has them at 6% or lower, 6.5. I mean, they're all pretty low. And again, it's this park. No one ever wants to play anyone in this park. So I think we have to consider it to a degree. What do you think of Nestor Cortez, though? Nestor Cortez is the interesting one. I typically hate playing Nestor Cortez. He's going to have ownership on this slate, but he's in that park. He's going against Seattle. I kind of think he's good chalk, Tony, and I never say that. It sounds terrible to play someone like him, but I think you got to consider it. Overall, though, what's your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I hate freaking Nestor. So it might be just a block in my head, but man, every time I've ever played this guy, he's terrible. And I just like pitchers. The price, I'm glad
it's in Seattle.
I get it. And Seattle strikes out, and I get it. I believe me, I get why. I just, in the price too, like he's cheap. The Seattle strikes out, the park's good. I get all that. Believe me. I just think Nestor sucks. Like, I just don't like it. And I look at the lineup. We don't have a Seattle lineup, but I like these guys. I mean, Cal Raleigh, actually, I need to go back. So I'm glad you just made, this is what happens to me when I start rushing. But one of my favorite plays is Cal Raleigh. I mean, against a lefty, I want a ton of him in this spot. I want to see a Nestor. Does he have much history against this team? Hold on, let me pull it up real quick. Man, so A-Roz has 4 bombs off him. He's got pretty good success against the rest of them. He's owned them pretty good. Cal Raleigh's only 0 for 2. Really, the only guy with any sample, though, is A-Roz, who is 7 for 26, 4 bombs. I just don't freaking like Nestor. I just don't think he's any good. And again, I'm only playing 3 teams, so I just like those other pitchers more. I do love Cal as a one-off, though. Like, he's one of my favorite one-offs of the night.
All right. I do agree. Like, listen, Nestor, he does have home run problems. Cal's definitely a good one-off. Like, it's definitely someone that you have to consider. And it's a spot where I think you could argue both sides. And but that's kind of my thoughts on that one. Tony, let's run SaberSim. So let's run it real quick. Whenever you're ready.
Pitchers real quick. How do we rank? How do you rank these guys I still got up there? I'll even put Nestor back in just for this part. Even though
just put Nestor back for this part. We'll see.
How are you? So first of all, let's look at. I mean, the ownership. There's not crazy like ownership anywhere, but
no.
How do you rank them just projection wise? Because I got Kramer way. How do you like Kramer as much as me?
The more I look at it, yes, I do. Let me just double check his ownership because I think he will be. I want to see what it's exactly owned so I can see where we want to be. He is going to be around 15%. I'm okay with that. I mean, at that projection, you're probably gonna get so much of him, which is, that's
Which
fine.
I'm fine with. Like, I think
You got rid of. Did you get rid of Pepio? I want to keep him.
Want to keep him?
Yeah, can you bring him back? I like Pepio.
Bring him
Let's
back
keep him.
for you.
There we go. I want
Undertaker gift.
Yeah, I want Pepio and Houck in there, and I'm okay with them being like low where you have them. But I definitely wanted them in the pool for sure. I think the way you have them ranked is fine. You could argue to make Kramer a little bit lower, but honestly, like we don't love Cease. We don't.
It's not going to matter really, anyways. Yes. He's going to pop no matter what, just because he's 6,200. I mean, I could take him down.
Let's leave it, Tony. Let's leave it because I want to see. I don't really. I'll admit I'm that kind of guy when I use Saber. I'm scared to over project someone too high when they're 6.2K. I kind of want to see what it does because it's just not something that I typically do, and you like to do that, so let's keep it that way.
What about some hitters? Who's like the hitters you like?
Just Blue Jays was one of my favorite offenses, so I want to up the Blue Jays. Like Vladdy, I want to up. I'd want to up most of them. I would just put a bump for everyone, basically, if you could. I mean, I don't know if that's too much, but Vladdy and Springer, I would definitely do. Put Vladdy, Springer, and Kirk. Let's do those guys specifically. And then we both like the Mets. I would say we want to bump the Mets as well, right? We both like the Mets.
Yeah. Let's go back to the Mets.
We don't need to. I know we talked about the Brewers. We don't need to do anything with them because that lineup could change. But we both like the Mets. I know that was something we 100% agreed on.
Bump a few of those bottom guys that have terrible projections.
Yeah,
Acuna, we got to bump Acuna.
Yeah, bump Acuna.
Bump Tyrone Taylor.
I know you want to bump that red side, so we'll definitely bump them.
Yeah, let's bump them.
Do you want to bump the Royals, or did you already do that? You did that, right?
I don't remember. I'll look in a second. I definitely want to bump Ellie up. I love Ellie. Let's just bump the lefties for them. I don't know if it
bump the left.
We're just showing people anyways how it works. We can fine tune it more later. Yeah. And the Royals, let's bump a few. I was about to say they didn't pop up right away. But I definitely want Renfroe or Tommy Pham higher. Yuli's probably fine because he's cheap. Let's bump. I mean, their projections are just so low. Yeah. And then the last thing I like to do when I don't know if anyone does this, but me, I always go to 5 stacks, projected runs, and I just to see, like, I know for sure I want, like, just to make sure. Got to scroll all the way down for Kansas City, but I just want to see what they look like. Who'd you say you like Toronto? So let's make sure we get some Toronto in there.
And we both like the Mets.
We both like the Mets. So let's get 20% of all 3 of those, and
then put Cincy. You like Cincy, right? You want to put them in.
And this is some of the teams, honestly, that aren't going to be crazy high tonight. So no. I mean, we didn't bump any of the top 2, 4, like 7 teams. So this will be an interesting test to kind of see. I already have my settings in. Some people might have been Polanco in the 7 hole. I never play Polanco against lefties, just for the record. Let's see what we get. Let's see what Seattle. Did Seattle put a lineup out?
Doubt it. That's a 9:40 start. It's on an island, so I doubt that one's out. But yeah, we talked about some of our favorite stacks. Mine are Jays and Mets. Yours, Tony, are Reds, and who else? Who was one of the other stacks you liked?
Royals are my sneaky. I mean, I like the Reds game in general because I like the Braves. I mean, Braves are chalky, but I love the Braves too. So, like, both sides of the Reds game, Royals, Mets are kind of where I'm at the most.
Okay, well, so those are our top stacks. Let's do favorite hitter and then favorite value. We'll do both those. So for me, favorite hitter, I'm gonna go with let's go with Pete Alonso. I think he stays hot, and then value, I'll go with Alejandro Kirk on the Jays. What about you, Tony?
I got to pull my list up, but Ellie would be my favorite.
Ellie's your favorite, and Renfroe's your value. That's exactly how it is.
Definitely, I do like Tommy Pham a lot though, just because the Royals are going to get no ownership, and he's just in that 1 hole. But Renfroe would be lower owned. basically the Braves games where I'm heavy on. This is like my form of low ownership. The Royals like his fillers.
Yeah.
And I love the Royals tonight.
All right. And then favorite pitcher of the night. It sounds like, so I think Gray's my favorite pitcher, but I'll say this. I love the Pepiot-Houck combo. Like those are two guys that are going to be lower owned that I want to be overweight on. Who are some of the pitchers you like?
I mean, it's Sonny Gray and Kramer for me. I get the top. Well, that's why I'm interested to see what this is going to give us with our numbers. But so let's go 5 unique. Let's run some sims here real quick. The only thing bad about screen sharing on here is it makes my screen so massive that it's hard to like see what's what. But
yeah,
let's run this real quick and then we can.
Then we'll get out of here.
Get that off there. I want to read those props too one more time after we do this, just so that everyone we can do a little recap of what all we got.
Cool.
And this is the cool part of SaberSim that everyone hasn't seen. I love SaberSim for baseball, just for stuff like this. It gets you a lot of combos that I'm interested to see if the Mets pop is our top RAROI.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, right away we got 5 Mets. We got my one-off Camporeale. We got the 2 pitchers that we both like. I love, man, this team right here.
That team.
The team looks pretty good for the Mets stacks. If you like them. So
I just screenshotted that one. I might be looking to make a variation of that for sure.
Let's look at a Reds team. So a Reds team, same 2 pitchers. We got our boy Boynton's boy Ty France. When you look at the Reds tonight, like their lineup just like these guys look crappy to me, but and like look like Mookie Betts. That's what I was saying about just a random one-off. Like I don't have an issue with just a random one-off Mookie Betts hitting the team, even though I don't like the Dodgers. That's kind of what I like about Saber. I mean, you just see like random. Let's look at you like Toronto. Let's see what it gives us for a Toronto team.
Yeah, I'm curious.
At the top, we got the same. I mean, we're going to get these 2 pitchers on a lot with the way I projected them, but I'm good with that. I love these 2 pitchers. And look at this team. So you got the 5 Jays, the ones you like. We got 2 lefty Reds that we like, and then Langford.
Langford's fine with me.
I like that. Let's see what it gives us. Did it give us any Braves? It had to give us some Braves. Let's see what a Braves team looks like. A chalky Braves team. Like this is the type of team I could play. Like I got 2 Reds, 5 chalky Braves, and my boy Camporeale might be my one-off tonight. If I had to pick a bat, the way he's hitting on Saber, and he's a catcher. The thing I love having a one-off at catcher that's also in a late game. So like all that upside, if he somehow hits a bomber too, is all stacked up late. Roddy says, I need help with my subscription. It's not updating. Anything, I can't get the cord. Are you in Discord?
Yeah, Roddy, if you're in Discord, definitely hit up Captain. You could hit up info at Run Pure Sports, but that probably won't get you right away. Captain DMing him would be the best.
I see he did write something in Discord. 547. I'll make sure that Captain sees this, Roddy. Unfortunately, I have no idea how the back end works, but I will bump Captain to make sure he sees that. Yeah.
We'll Big T's on it. He's gonna get Captain on it for you and everything. So working on that now for you. Tony, any final thoughts, or you want to get out of here and make sure Captain helps out our
read your bets one more time real quick. Did you record them or what? Let me see.
Okay. Captain has a lot of stuff going on. So Roddy, but if Big T's on it, if Big T says, "Hey, get this done," then it gets done. So he'll
maybe no. Captain does get busy, but I'll do my best, Roddy. I promise. And if not, I'll screenshot the stuff you need at least to get you through lineup lock and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll help you out as best as we can, and hey, if we can too. If things don't work out, we can get you some gear. Maybe Big T gets you some gear.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's go over the bets. So for me, on my end, I had Bryce Harper's over on walks at plus 135. I had the under on the Nola outs. I know you gave that out. Under on Tanner Houck's walks. Over on Weathers earned runs at 2.5. Under on Mullins walks. And those are the ones that I gave out. What were some of the ones you gave out, Tony?
So the only ones I have that you didn't do are Scooball under 17.5 outs plus 130. And one more I had that you didn't. Oh, my boy Francis again, under 17.5 plus 125. So how many total bets is that? 7?
Yeah,
How many did you have? Plus 2.
I had 2, 4.
6?
I have 5, so 7 bets.
Oh, yeah, so seven total bets for the people. Plus, I gave the Reds and the Royals as just outrights.
Yes. So
cool.
All right, we were on for hour 15 or so. So
is the LOL Worlds tonight? Hold on. Is this is my boy Jackie Love in action tonight? Is it Worlds tonight?
I don't think Worlds is on. Is it? I actually looked today to see if I saw. Maybe I scrolled past League of Legends, and I don't think Worlds is yet. I think we got a week. I think it's a week till Worlds or so. So unless I'm seeing it wrong, but no, we'll definitely. I would do a World show if Big Kev wants to, or a Captain. I know Captain loves doing it. So we'll have to see. If the slate's good enough, and the prize pools are good enough, we'll see if we can pull it off for you guys. I would totally do it. I absolutely love Worlds. So I'll let you know when Jackie Love's going, Tony.
Jackie, my boy.
Yeah, Jackie had a good overall year. I'll say that he was carrying. But all right, that is going to wrap it up for us here on the Run Pure Sports Swing for the Fences show. Thanks a lot for joining us. We got to clean everything up and get on out of here. So for me, Mangone, and Big T, we'll see you guys later.